it's Rakhine, and welcome to Supernatural Season 1, Episode 8 Review, Bugs. If you're new here, I'm doing a recap and review of every single episode of Supernatural. So, Bugs, I knew Bugs was coming up, I just didn't know when. And for those who don't know, Bugs was ranked the worst episode of Supernatural on IMDb. I think the series finale is now the worst episode, but Bugs was an episode that shouldn't have happened. And I know the writers regret that being an episode, and obviously the cast wasn't thrilled, and obviously that if they could redo one episode and make it not happen, I think it would be Bugs. But let's get into it. So first off, the special effects were awful in this episode with all the bugs, especially like when the spiders were coming out of the shower. Like, that was just awful. And in the final scene, it's supposed to be like bees or something sticking them. So what they did, and I've heard them talk about this or read it, but they stung Jared and Jensen just to make sure they weren't allergic. But then they were using like live bees in the scene. And another thing in scenes is that you're not really supposed to be like swatting at bees or whatever, and they were. And so then they were like actually being stung like when the scene was happening. And then of course when they were in the editing room, they were like, you can't really see the bees, it's not enough. So then they had to like add special effects for the bees. So obviously that entire choice just and then the end, I feel like the end scene, like you're just like watching them fight all these bees and bugs, and they like seem like they're losing. Like, I'm like, how are they not dead or like more injured? Because after it's over, they just like seem they have like a few bites, but like, how are they not more injured? Because it just looks like bad. And then the end, they kind of just like win because the night's over. But I'm kind of like, how do they make it? And so like, they never really defeated anything. Like, it's just cursed land, and they know not to like live there moving forward. But it's like, what do they really do to help? Well, we've been talking a lot about, or at least I've been talking a lot about like the different monsters of the week. So this isn't technically a monster, it's more of like a curse that was placed on this land, and so that's why the bugs are acting this way. And it seemed like, I don't know, they could have maybe found a way to reverse it, but they just didn't. I don't know, it's just like, why is this episode a thing? We've also been talking a lot about like, who are they saving? And so a lot of times it has been like a woman, like they have to be saving a woman. In this case, they're kind of like saving a family. So it is like a little bit of a different dynamic where they're kind of more saving a family than it's like saving a woman. And so that's kind of like better to see, because we haven't seen this before, and especially this dynamic they picked with the dad and the son and what they were talking about. Another thing I want to bring up is that for people who don't know, writing room, when they're, especially in series, writing TV shows, even if it's like serialized, even though this is a time where it's just so much more episodic, and obviously I think how writing and writing rooms have changed a lot because of the dynamic of how TV has changed. But at this time, and what it used to be, is they would be very episodic, and they would have multiple storylines in an episode, and that's kind of how they figured out like storyline A is the biggest storyline, B, C, whatever. And so what's kind of hard or difficult with Supernatural is that there are only really two characters, and then they have a few extra characters in the episode, compared to a lot of other shows who have like multiple series regular and then like reoccurring characters too. So there's more plot lines. Supernatural doesn't have that. They have really only two characters. And so they struggle with, it's really, they can only do like two plot lines, and you can notice that. And so really the first A plot line is kind of the monster thing, and then the B plot line could be something extra, which in this episode, it's them talking about how their dad treated them. They have to bring these elements. They have to bring into something else so that there could be a story. You can't just have one plot line, and that's like what's kind of sad about episodic. So I think what they were talking about in this episode kind of worked with the dynamic of who they were saving with like the dad and the son. And obviously they kind of did that on purpose so that they could have this discussion about how their dad raised them. Obviously we are learning these characters, where every episode we need to get something new. We need to like, we're still like learning them. They're still new to us, even though watched the show before. But so there's still new characters and we need to get more backstory. And so this episode kind of brought a little bit more into their backstory about who they are and how they were raised, and kind of like the different dynamics about how like Dean was a lot more like his dad and Sam was a little bit different, and so his dad didn't really understand them, and then that drift between them. So I think they were wanting to maybe bring this in, and so they were trying to think of a storyline where there could be a similar dynamic with a dad and a son, and somehow they landed on Bugs, but I know they probably regret it. But I think it was good that they were able to bring this up, and they do try. Maybe I'll start talking about that in the other reviews, is like the other B plot lines that are not with the monster, because they do try to bring those in and try to bring in other stuff. And so thank you guys for watching, and comment your thoughts about Bugs below, and then I'll do the 9th episode. Like, comment, subscribe, and bye.